Welcome to the Single Sidebar podcast with your host, Dr. Sam I Am. We are elated that you decided to tune into this podcast. We're going to be focusing on 3 areas: health, wealth, and traveling well for singles living in the 21st century. So let me pull you to the side and help you get your life together so that you can maximize your season of singleness. Welcome to another edition of Single Sidebar Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Sam I Am. I am so elated to be with you guys on today. This is episode number, where are we at? Lord, I think we're at episode number 7. We're at episode number 7. Y'all, it's been 7 episodes. We have done a Single Sidebar podcast. I am so excited about that. God has been truly been faithful. And so we're excited to help singles maximize their singleness and living well through health, wealth, and traveling well. That is all our mission is. We're going to maximize our singleness. We're going to enjoy our singleness, and we're going to just live it up while we're single. So on today, I have 2 of my dearest and closest friends with me. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves, but I'm going to give you a little tidbit about them. I have Mrs. Briyaunna who is one of the owners of Salon 818, which I am a proud client. And then Mrs. Shamia, who's a real good friend of mine. She is currently an accountant, so she knows about their money. And so she's going to just give us some of her wisdom on today. So we're going to start off with Briyaunna. I'm going to allow Briyaunna to introduce herself. And then Shamia, you can kick it off as well.
Hello, guys. I am Briyaunna Crawley. Again, like she said, the co-owner of Salon 818 and owner of Beauty by Briyaunna. I am a married mother of 1. I've been married 11 and a half years, almost 12. That's went fast. All right.
Time goes by when you're having fun.
Yeah, when you're busy.
Shamia?
And I am Shamia Wynn. I am also married, been married for 8 years, and we have 2 daughters. And I am a cost financial analyst at this moment, and I'm also pursuing my doctorate in accounting.
Come on, doctors. Come on. So I had these ladies come in on today because I just wanted to allow them the opportunity to help us as singles, men and women, because you guys know I'm not biased. I want to help both male and female when it comes to singles, and probably even some of the things that they're going to share with us on today may help some marriages as well, because the Lord has really been placing on my heart to really pray for marriages during this time. And so outside of that, though, that's another ball game. We're going to be talking on today about several things that I've asked the women to share as it pertains to singleness, and then transitioning into marriage, if that's even what you even desire, because not everybody desires to be married. Some individuals will prefer to be singles for the rest of their life. But for those of us who do desire to be married one day, what are some of the things that we should be doing now? So the first question I want to pose to the ladies on this evening is similar to what I just stated. What should singles be doing in and with their singleness? Because you're in this season of singleness, but if you're in that season, what are you also doing with this season? So, ladies, what should we be doing during this time? And again, for men and females, what are, for males and females, what are some of the things we should be doing while we're living this blessed and blissful single life?
Well, if you want me to go first, Brian, I would say one of the most important things is basically knowing who you are. And to know who you are, you need to develop your relationship with Christ. So that way he can actually mold you and reveal you and shape you into who he wants you to be, and allow you to see what your purpose is so you can move forward towards those goals and working through that while you're actually single. Because when you are pursuing marriage, you have to still understand that you all are 2 separate individuals. So you still have your own identity. And if you don't know yourself, if you don't know how to love yourself, then how can you expect to get to know someone else and love them as well? So I think that is one of the main things that needs to be worked on while you're actually single. And then another thing to work on is just your overall package. What are your dreams? What are your goals? What are your career goals? Um, what are some of the things that you want to do for fun? Like you said, spring, like traveling or whatever. Go ahead and experience those things now, while you're single and you have the ability to. And like I said, develop your actual package. If there's a craft or a hobby that you're interested in, go ahead and pursue that, and start, putting yourself in a mindset of fulfilling yourself, saying while you're actually single.
So to piggyback off of Shamia, I agree with and totally agree with everything she said. But when she started off with knowing yourself and who you are in Christ, if you don't know that, when you go to move into a relationship, your expectations of them is to complete you or to fill these voids that you have. But if you already know who you are and know yourself, then you wouldn't expect your mate to make you happy or your mate to like do certain things, because if you're already secure in that area within yourself, then that's a high expectation that you wouldn't have to put on them, because nobody can complete you or give you those desires, true desires of your heart like that but Christ. Now he can provide those in your mate, but nobody can really do that but you. And so if you don't know yourself, you don't know what your likes are, you don't know what your desires are, you don't know what your passion is, how do you expect someone to come along and get on board with that or nurture it or stroke your ego in the area when you don't even know what it is? And so again, like she said, go out there and travel, find your hobby, figure out what you want to do, live your best life while you're single. And then if you desire to be married, your mate should just add to the package. The other side of what she said is, what are you bringing to the table? For so long, I think we've been so much of what is the guy bringing to the table. But I think in 21st century, it's like, what are women bringing to the table?
Bingo.
We got to be just as supportive as we want a male to be. It's no longer, it can be, nothing's wrong with, hey, if you decide to be a stay-at-home mom and a homemaker, that's quite all right. But in that, are you happy doing that? What are you at home doing? You have to make sure that you're happy and content in doing that. But make sure that you're bringing something to the table so that when you are married, you guys are a force together.
Right. That's good. That's good. I'm telling y'all preaching already. But anywho, so what are some of those things? So to elaborate on your first point, getting to know yourself, how does one find thyself?
One, you really do need to spend time with God. You have to spend that quiet time with God. And it just can't be, oh, I'm going to get up and I'm going to pray for 10 minutes and then I'm going to go on about my day. But you have to take the time to listen and hear what he's saying back to you. Don't move so fast. Take the time to listen to what he's hearing from you. And the other thing, saying to you, And the other thing is trial and error. Try some things so you'll know what you don't like or you do like. For it can be something that's simple. Go out here and ride a bike. You know what? Riding a bike just ain't my thing. Or that's how I decide to exercise. I love it. So if you was to have a mate and he's like, hey, let's go ride this bike, whatever, let's go to country park and ride our bike. We can do that together because I've already experienced that. And I know that that's something I like versus, oh, I really don't like that, but I'm just going to do it because you want to. And so that's wrong communication.
Right.
So, and I use something very simple, but trial and error. Try some things to see what you like. Just do a deep search in yourself.
That's good.
And I was going to say the same exact thing that Briyaunna said. Is basically put yourself in a position to where you try new things, you take risks. You go out here and you see things. Because if you don't know, you won't try it. And a lot of times, we get so spiritual that we forget about the practical things. So we have to basically, understand at the end of the day, we're still humans, and God wants us to be here on earth, not only to fulfill the purpose of what he, left off for us to do, but to also enjoy the earth, enjoy life. So if you don't try it, then you're never going to know.
Right. That is so, so true. I mean, we can't even stress that enough, that not just being so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good. You're just always up here, but what are you learning up here that you can translate and bring it down here and actually put it into practice? So that's really, really great, ladies. And so transitioning out from that, talk to us about the difference between standards and preference, because I know a lot of singles have what is known as the list. Okay. And many of us, I know I can speak for these two ladies, we're all relationship goal book owners. Okay. And we are followers of Pastor Mike Todd. Shout out to him for that relationship goals book. And of course, the relationship goals series and relationship goals reloaded series. Amazing series. You check them out. But outside of that, we all have this ideal list. Everybody always say, make your list, know what you want, exactly what you want, yada, 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 yada. Why is it so important for us? It's fine you making the list, but why is it so important for us to not be dependent upon that list? The difference between standards and preference.
For me, from experience, my husband was not everything on my list. That was there was preferences that I had, that I wanted. However, my husband met other standards that actually mattered in life. So, for instance, some people be like, oh, I want me a tall, glass, dark, handsome, or I want me a tall, light skin, short, lights. Things like that. We can make those simple things, but what if he's not tall and dark, but he still has the standard? He knows how to treat a woman. He's very respectful. He knows how to love on you. He knows how to cherish. He knows how to honor you. He knows how to respect you, your kids, his mother. Like, so you gonna go against that all for a tall, dark glass? Like,
come on now.
Like, which one we gonna do? We gonna go for these standards, or we gonna go for the looks or the preference? I'd rather have somebody with the package. I don't want a bum because a bum look good. I'd rather have a hardworking man out here that's grinding, and he can just be just as simple and brown. Clear. He can be clear. He can be Hispanic. I don't care what. But
we don't discriminate.
Listen, I happen to end up with a tall, dark chocolate one. August had some standards about, some respect about himself, and was a God-fearing man. Then that kind of overlapped the physical aspects that was on your quote unquote list, or my quote unquote list for me.
Yeah, to add to what Brianna said, I think, we all at some point as women have sat down and wrote a list out in our singleness as far as, what we were looking for once we got mature. And I tell anybody as far as single ladies that come to me now and talk to me, that your standards are based off of your morals and your beliefs and your values. Your preferences are based on things that are temporary. Okay, he might, like Brian said, he might look fine today, but 30 years down the line, that changes. So if you just married just because he looked good, then what happens when he goes bald? What happens when his skin wrinkles? What happens when those physical attributes fade away? So I tell ladies, I too didn't get everything that was on my list, but God gave me everything that He knew that I needed, and I see that now, because I know that some of the things that I went through and I go through, now in my marriage, I know that I would not be able to go through it if it was somebody else that I had dated previously. So, you have to, just trust God and just know that, He knows what's best for you, and don't bend for your standards, because, like Ronald was saying, I would rather have somebody that can keep my lights on than somebody that was rich and it was knocking my lights out. Okay. So, so that's a total difference. So you have to be careful, what you accept. Don't go below your standards. No, and it's all about knowing your worth. So once you know your worth, you know your standards. And, these other things that you want, God might give you a little bit. He might sprinkle a little bit of them in there. But you know what I'm saying? Just know those things are temporary. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes superficial and overrated.
Y'all heard what she said? Know your worth. And from your worth is where you're going to find your standards. I mean, and that analogy with knocking the lights out, I mean, go ahead and rewind so you can hear that part again. All right? You need it in your spirit. Let it attach. Let it marinate and soak in. Okay? I'm just saying. Because so many people get so confused about your standards and your preferences. Like your standards, those are the things those are your non-negotiables. Like salvation, that's a standard. That's a non-negotiable. Like we're not doing that. Be like, you're not being saved. I'm sorry, I cannot be unequally yoked. That's a big thing. But then there's other things that fall under that. Someone who, like Brianna said, hard work, that's work ethic and integrity. That's a big thing for me because I know how much I work. I know how much I pour into anything that I do. And so to have someone who is just a couch potato, yeah, that's not going to happen. I can't do it. I'm sorry. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. Okay? So, anywho, so we're moving on. My next question, let me just pull it up on my phone because me and the cell phone. So, what does dating look like in the 21st century? I know y'all been married for a while, so I mean, but what have y'all seen or what have you observed?
I feel personally so bad because,
yeah. Whew,
I'm telling you, I just say, there needs to be a lot of caution, a lot of discernment, because with the platforms of social media, you don't know who you chatting with, you don't know who you talking with, you don't know who you online dating with, romancing, falling in love. I mean, now people finding people in jail and, love at first sight and, a lot of that stuff, I'm just like, ooh, 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 ooh. And so I just think, it needs to be a lot of prayer, a lot of caution, and a lot of discernment. Although I know that sometimes, those things can work where, you meet people online and it develops into something that's, stable and that works and leads to marriage. But a lot of time, I mean, you have a lot of people out here that are not serious, and it's male and female. Their motives are wrong, and they hide behind the social media platforms to portray something that they're really not. And then once they hook and sink you, it's kind of hard. So I would just say, be prayerful and be mindful, and just exercise yourself in caution when you do go out here.
Listen, it's rough in these streets.
Yeah, I would have to agree with everything Shamia has said. The double lives and this social media, and like you have to be very, very cautious. And don't start me.
Go ahead and start. Go ahead. We like it real, raw, and relevant.
Like the whole plan and all of this extra, like this, it's just too much. It's too much.
What you mean? So what should we, when we finally do get into, we going on a date, like what does that even look like?
Well, what it don't look like, DMing me on social media, we are not dating. This is not a date. Like, we're not going to talk back and forth. And this whole texting thing all the time, pick up the phone and hold a conversation. See how a person can hold a conversation. I mean, a date doesn't have to be extravagant. I mean, we don't have to get all dressed up and go to Ruth Chris on every date. We could take a walk in the park. In the meantime, I'm going to meet you there because I can't ride with you. Hey.
I don't know you.
Girls got to know it all because
okay.
A little iffy, but it can be a walk through the neighborhood, or we can kind of it doesn't have to be extravagant all the time. But DMing me through social media and we texting all the time, but you don't have time to hold a conversation on the phone. Like you that busy and you working that hard, you got too much going on.
That part.
Like with
That part.
that's not acceptable. You have to have some interaction. And texting and social media is not interaction. That's not interaction. I need to know that you know how to hold a conversation, an intelligent one at that.
Right.
Like, let's talk about things. Let me see where your head is, your mind is. Let's talk about the simple things. What type of family did you come from? Let's go back to that.
Okay.
We can't.
Let's go to
where these people coming from, what type of families they coming from, and then you get in it and you be like, where did that side come from? No, it was always there, but you just decided to look at his good pictures on social media, so you weren't paying attention how he was, whether he was handed everything on a silver platter and expected you to do that, or whether they was some straight hood boogers and he was just nice on social media.
Listen. Get out of that surface level mess, y'all, with that text message and that social media. You need some depth.
Dig deep.
You need some depth.
And I think ladies now are just so quick and so in a hurry to run to the altar that they're not even willing to wait to experience, you know what I'm saying, the whole cycle of a relationship. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't even been through no ups, no downs, you know what I'm saying, no hills, no mountains, no left, no right. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, you, like I said, you get hooked in, you get caught by the time you at the altar and you already, you know, married, you in something you're trying to get out of, you know, because you didn't take the time to, you know, like Brianna said, to sit down and have those conversations, you know what I'm saying, and figure those things out. So don't let the thirst overtake you, and just don't think that everybody that goes to church or spit you a Bible verse that they say. Everybody that go to church and everybody spit a verse, they're not saved. Half the time, the men or the women that are there, they got agendas and they got motives. They only there to see who they can find, and then once they corrupt whoever they want to, and then ran their course, they out.
And they cannot consistently be who they are not. So if you took the time to see, trust me, it's going to fall off. That Bible verses and stuff like that. I can teach my baby to know the whole Bible from front to back, and he's sick. And I can teach him that, but he don't know the responsibilities of taking care of a woman right now. He don't know the responsibilities of holding a woman, making a woman feel secure and holding her heart in his hand. But I could teach him all the scriptures he needs to know. Anybody could sit down and do that and learn that for 21 days and then know them good. But they can't consistently be who they are not. You stick with them long enough, and 90 days ain't long. They can do that for 90 days. Now they done got it. At first 90 days, we're like, all right, we might be working a little something back in the day. But now they got this down pat 90 days. It ain't just 21 days to make something happen nowadays. They can tag this along for a little bit. So get in there, get depth, kind of, see what you need to know. Like, what pushes his button? What pushes your buttons? Not that you want to push them, but you need to know, what are those triggers? What is his pet peeves? What are your pet peeves? Do you know what your pet peeves are? Right. Figure that stuff out. Why, if he dislikes something so much, why do he dislike it? Let's get to the underneath, like, why do we dislike this? Let's talk about that. Or what happened? Figure out if there's been some trauma, because trauma and back trauma in people's lives can make them who they are today. Yeah. So kind of try to figure out that stuff. That's why I said have conversations, and that type of stuff you can't learn through social media. People only post on social media what they want you to know. They only post what they want you to know, and if they want you to think that everything is all good, be fooled, and you choose to be that.
Listen, I cannot tell y'all how much nuggets they just dropped in what they were just saying. I mean, like, literally, y'all, what that social media is all about perception. Yeah. That they want you to perceive this high, mighty, I am this person. And even don't be fooled by titles either.
Or jobs.
Just because, titles, jobs, don't be fooled by those things. All right. And this is where you have to go through, like Shamia said, those cycles, the cycle of the relationship. You need to see that person in every single season. You know, how they handle situations. Listen with your ears. Okay. Listen with your ears. Listen with your heart. Listen with your spirit of what it is that they're saying. And even watching their tone, watch their reaction to people, the way they treat their family members. You're collecting data when you're dating, so that you can make an educated decision as to whether you want to continue on in this relationship. And be accountable to individuals. Be accountable. Get somebody else to see it, because your eyes may be blinded by his biceps and triceps and the way he prayed. Because even, don't be fooled. People have got caught up by the ways an individual pray, thinking that they are like the it person, but their character don't align with the words that come out their mouth. Let's just be real. Let's just talk about this. And so, y'all, again, rewind to hear what Shamia and Briyaunna just said again, and let them marinate in your spirit. Let it attach, so that you're cautious. You're not fearful, but you're cautious when it is that you do go out and date. Okay. I mean, it just the little things, y'all. I know for me, one of my pet peeves is people showing up late. You come 10 minutes late and we supposed to be on a date. Bro, don't expect me to stay. You just took 10 minutes off your 1 hour that you get. That's just that.
And so that's a standard that you have. So if he shows up 10 minutes late and then he has, oh, well, honestly, let me show you. I literally had a flat tire. So let me show you this paper. And you know, that's cool. But
that's different.
Next week when we go on a date, you 10 minutes late again. And then the third week when we go on a date, you 3 strikes, bruh. Don't worry about it. Go ahead and get you and your flat tires and your jackets and all of that stuff. You get that together and see. Try again next time, but with somebody
and
else.
I'm out.
You know what I'm saying?
Out.
Don't lower those standards, because if that's a pet peeve of yours, because the thing about it is, a lot of times we can take those red flags and put them up on the shelf. It's like, that red flag isn't so bad. It was just 10 minutes late. And then you get into a relationship and you get into a marriage, and then everywhere we go, we 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes late. And then you come to find out room in the mirror longer than you. Hold on. So it was like, but then you want to fuss and fight, and y'all got all this conflict over, he always late. Oh, she always late. Or whichever one it is, because women can be late too. But she always, but that's something you've been new. And then they're going to feel like that. Well, you've been knew that about me, but you decided we make these choices to put that red flag on the thing because you liked him when you knew that was a pet peeve of yours. Don't put it up. And if he really wants you and he really wants to pursue you, he gonna work hard to get his time together. That can just be something you taught him. You know what? I was a late person till I met Sabrina. I was late on that one good time, and she read me my rights. And every other time, I was 10 minutes.
And I will.
On time. You know, on time is late in her book. So and that is some things, you know, for me, when you decide to marry, for those who wants to marry, you're supposed to, in some way, shape or form, enhance your spouse. So in your case, that can be somewhere where, you know, what did your wife bring to you? Or how did your wife make you better? Or how did your wife enhance you? Oh, Sabrina didn't play no games when I was dating her on time. I was a late person. I grew up, we always was late. We was late on our bills. Then you want to figure out why y'all ain't got no water.
Oh, come on. Because if you late on the date, you might be late on them bills. Come on.
You know, so now, one time, she got me straight. And now we all right. Listen. But, I mean, you know, then he have that thing on what his wife helped him do. And that's a positive thing. But don't just, it was just 10 minutes and throw it to the back burner. And then you looking like a fool when y'all ain't got no water or the light bill cut off and he talking about I'll pay it next week.
Next week? Bro, it was due last week.
That part. So you should have paid it the week before. How about that?
How about that?
Early.
I'm just saying. We're just saying. You guys to tell the people. This is what I'm talking about. Conversations like this. The people need to know. The folks need to know.
But he showed up 10 minutes late, and he showed up with me some flowers, or he showed up with me a Louis bag. Take him his Louis bag and his flowers and tell him to go to the next one. Get your coins together and go buy your own Louis bag. How about that?
Buy your own
Valentina or
Louis
whoever else you.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, just make sure that you can provide those things or those high standards for yourself so you don't settle for somebody else giving them to you. He was 10 minutes late, but we was getting on the airplane to go to Hawaii. Take your behind to Hawaii before he come, and then you already gonna know what Hawaii feel like.
You gonna know what Hawaii feel like. Go get you some sand. Aloha.
Toes in the sand by yourself and pull out a book and read.
Yourself.
And then him just being 10 minutes late won't be like, I had to accept it. No, you don't.
You don't.
That
part. You don't have to accept that. You don't, y'all.
This is a choice.
You don't. Like, she took the words right out of my mouth. If that little thing like that builds up into big, because you never know, like what Brian was saying, you never know people's backstory. Being late might have been their thing. That's their whole family's thing.
And he don't know no better. So either you willing to be taught off of this one good time, or listen. I ain't the one to teach you. At least you learn from this here lesson and do well with it when you go next door and knock on hers. Most of the time they're going to stay in the circle these here days. They're going next door. They ain't going too far.
Listen. That's why I say y'all in some special times.
Girl, it's rough in these streets. It's rough in these streets, y'all. And my singles know. And so for the sake of time, I'm going to skip to our last question. At the end of Single Sidebar, we always want to make sure that we leave them with one practical tip that they can implement immediately or see themselves implemented in the near future. We don't want it to be the far future. We want something to be near future so that we can see the change in your life. And so as married women looking back and single, what is the one thing you would have told your single self prior to getting married?
I know for me, you already know this, I struggle with my independence, which when I got married, it manifested into submission. So I would say, work on being submissive. I mean, I know like with me, I was not one of those chicks that was ready to run to the altar. Like when my husband approached me, I was like, oh God, are you punking me right now? Because I'm not even ready. Like I don't even want to date nobody at this point, let alone. So, I know like for me, when I went into it, it was like, I was so used to being independent because I was already, established and things like that. And, and I was like, oh man, for one, I got to share. I'm an only child. So now I have to share.
Wow.
I have to wait on somebody else and make decisions with them. And then I also have to trust this person enough to the point where if, it's something that, he wants to do with the household, I got to fall in line. So, those are the things that, I struggle with because I was used to making my own decisions. When it's time to make moves, I already knew what I was going to do. Bam, bam, bam. And I was like, ooh, well, now I got to go out here and submit to him. Like, okay, if he want a glass of water at 3:00 in the morning, I got to go get it. So, with that, I had to learn that, my submission wasn't just to him. I took that vow with God to honor him, and through honoring him, I honor God. So my ultimate purpose, is to submit to God first, because if I'm not submitting to my husband, I'm not submitting to God. So I had to realize I'm out of order. I thought, oh, I'm really out of order for a while, because it didn't come, like I do honeymoon, come back, I'm submissive. No, it took some time, and I'm still working on it. It's like I'm out here fishing. Like when you're a beginner fishing, you throw your line out, it don't go out that far. You know what I'm saying? But the more I practice, the further my line goes out there, and I can just trust and lead a pole right there, and not be worried about whether or not I'm gonna get catch a fish. So I would just say as singles, and goes for men and women, because there's gonna be times where you're gonna have to. Men, you're gonna have to ask your wife permission to pursue a goal. You know what I'm saying? You just can't go out here one day and open up a business and take $5,000 out the account. It don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to, learn to submit too. So I would just say, build up your independence now. While you're single, it's a good thing to be independent. I love it. But also keep in mind that when you go to take those vows, you are taking those vows unto God. God is first. That is the first priority. So if you're not even obeying God and what his words say, then you can't even go down to your number 2, which is your husband or your wife, or your 3, your children, and then 4, you can't even go on down to that because you ain't even hit the first priority. So just keep that in mind, and work on being submissive.
Mine will piggyback off of Shamia. Mine will be that big old word control, and control go with submissive oh so well. I had this big thing, and it was my husband's pet peeve of, can't nobody love me and take care of me like me. But I had to be in control. I wanted to be in control over my heart instead of giving him the opportunity to have my best interest at heart. I can control this. I got this. Can't nobody look. It was a control thing. So, and that goes very well with being submissive. Like, listening to Shamia, and of course, we're good girlfriends. So we've talked about this back and forth where I had to realize that was, submission. Cause I'm like, listen, I can control this. You taking too long. You 10 minutes late, but you 10 steps behind. Come on, let's go. And like what you wait on, like why, and a lot of times I have to step back and choose, practice in your singleness, choosing which battles to fight. And even when you're single, you can still practice that and let go of control, because we can try to control our decisions, but God's decisions for us. We can't control God. Let go a little bit of that control and kind of let God handle you. Or even if it's your girlfriend, stop trying to control everywhere y'all go. Or you got to decide the restaurants. You got to decide the vacations. Kind of let go of control a little bit, because you can do that in singleness, so that you'll know that you're not in control in everything in marriage. A wife sets the thermostat for her home, but she can't control, listen, it's always on cool all the time. Summer, winter, fall, that's not going to be it. So you have to learn how to let go of control. You can't control every area, and it's okay. It's really okay, because if you let go of control and give it to your spouse or your mate, however you want to do this, and they fail, it's okay. Just pick it back up and keep going. It's hard, but it's going to happen.
Well, ladies, whew, that was a lot. All right now. All right. Oh, all right. Ladies, thank you once again for joining us on this evening for another episode of Single Sidebar, for being our special guest. We honor you. We are so grateful that you took the time to pour into us as single men, women, singles nationwide, worldwide, because these are the things that we need. Because we always say, I wish somebody had told me, if somebody had told me. And I know for me, that independence and that control thing, the Lord is still working. He is mightily moving. Amen. Amen. And so make sure you guys check us out on YouTube. Make sure you like, subscribe, make sure that you share, as well as definitely share on our podcast channels. We are on Google Play, iTunes, everywhere that podcasts are available. We are there. So we love you. We hope that the blessings of the Lord, which make you rich and added no sorrows, be upon you. And may you all have a prosperous evening. Thank you. Thank you for joining us for today's episode of the Single Sidebar Podcast. It is our hope that you took away something from today's episode that you can immediately apply to your life. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at the Single Sidebar Podcast or at Dr. Sam I Am 1 if you would like to continue the conversation from today. We do hope that you are able to join us for our next episode.